So the rope actually shrinks a bit. The rope's gathered it up. And what happens, you're starting to get a fair amount of sheet pressure because there's 3 guys hiking there. And the sail tends to stretch a little bit here, but it's not stretching in here. So you've got to do this and put the sail back in shape again. So that's not...
If you pull it, if you do a lot of cutting, it's going to take the drive further forward.
Yeah, it'll take it back to its design shape. See, all it does is take it back to here. That's the mould shape.
Yep.
And if you rack it out a little bit, it gets creases. And what you're doing with luff tension is stretching the luff to take up with a little bit of creep that's come into the from the sheet pressure. You're just pulling the luff down. So
I don't think anybody uses any cutting out on those mains.
yeah, I'm just saying. Well,
Do a fully swing.
I'll tell you. Yeah, well, you should. You should be chasing it around. Just hang on a minute and I'll get some. See, that's the same sail, I think. You see how deep it is down here? That's too deep here. It's not bad here.
You've got too much chocking.
It's okay. Yeah, well, it's got...
You've got too much chocking.
I would think so.
I think so, yeah.
And it's just massively deep here. If you look at this boat up here, like that has nowhere near as deep through here. It's probably carrying a tiny bit less twist in that sort of wind strength. He probably should be too. But look at his angle of heel, like lying on its side.
Yeah, but that's not sail. Well, okay, sail.
Eh? That is not controlling side force accurately.
Yeah.
To go like that, this is good. You know, he's got about the same amount of topside showing as the other pictures. And see this jib here, that's over trim for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you should be able to see that out. Who's that? Does anyone know?
Yeah, I did. He called it.
Is it somebody here?
Yeah, there is.
And this is the same. This is probably the same boat. Yeah, and you can see here that the jib's really closed in and hooked up, and that's caused by no luff tension too. I think this boat didn't have any luff tension on it. Yeah, you can see there now. You can see all the wrinkles down here. Yeah, and that's what it does. It lets the drive come right back in the leach. You can see how you can see it from off the boat. And the depth that's in here is massive, massive depth. Is that the same one? Yeah. That's the jib's not too bad there. But the main's still pretty similar. Yeah, it probably was. Is that the same boat?
Yeah.
Now that jib is massively over trim. Yeah, you can see that there it's just hooked right in here. It should be out here somewhere.
It could be that his leach cords shrunk too, by the way.
Yeah, I had one of those the other day on
That's a common fault with the North.
Michael's boat, because they've got a bit of tape there with Velcro on it.
Yeah.
You've actually got to untie it, and there's usually some extra string there.
Yeah, but they run out of string.
Yeah,
Stuff
yeah. Then you've got a special shrinking string.
They do that best. No, it is shrinking.
No, they do. It's probably nylon. It's nylon VB cord, and nylon shrinks like hell.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you just got to unpick the seam a little bit up here and pull it out and join a bit on. It's not hard to do. You just got to do it though.
It only cost you $58.
Yeah, if you do it yourself, it doesn't cost anything.
It might, you can earn a quid here.
That's the same one, isn't it?
Nothing's less than 90,
Is that the same boat? No, I don't know. Is it? See, that's a major no luff tension. Look at the sail up here, like it's just like crap. And look at the jib here. You know, it's hanging off the hanks
What about the foot tension?
in festoons, eh?
He's got the traveller to her aft.
Which traveller? You're talking about the main sheet traveller?
Chip car.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. Like when you got this sort of set up and this set up, and there's this certain people think that if you stretch the sail you ruin it. You're not pulling the crap out of it. Like that is negative tension there, negative. Like it wasn't on the floor like that when they drew the line on it. It was smooth.
There's something else wrong.
I hope it wasn't.
Where's the third
No, there's
person?
something else wrong with that picture.
Where's the third person?
Yeah. I noticed that.
He's in hospital round about that time.
Michael Morris might have him on board. Last weekend I went down to see where these guys were because they didn't appear up the finish, and I'm getting close and I'm sure there's 5 people on that boat, and they did. They had another extra crew. I said, where did you get that guy from? He's hanging onto a mark somewhere. I know. I don't know. No, it's the same one. Dopey.
Only 2 on that boat as well.
One.
What's happening, Mark?
It was a cold day. The other guy's making coffee. I can see him down there.
No, he's gone to Bathurst.
Someone's like.
But the setup on that boat's quite good. Like the jib twists about right, and the mainsail depths and things look pretty good, and the twist and everything. So there you go. Who was that?
Mike's David Bradley.
Same one. That sort of shows you the twist. Like you shouldn't have that much twist with the guy sitting the leeward, but you can see the difference when somebody's down there. Somebody's down there looking at the jib or doing something. Yeah, and it just goes not good, eh?
Just his end of boom looks to be pointing to the...
Yeah, it's above centre line. I saw that.
I think so. What do you reckon, Mark?
Bad.
We do a lot of that.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Shouldn't?
None of us steer well enough to do that. If you're going to come above centre line, you've got to be not very deep down here, and it's got to be really, really smooth water, so you can sail the boat really accurately. Like if you're doing your angle of heels doing this, or just forget it. I've never.
Sorry, Mike, you're talking about the boom not being above centre line,
Yeah,
as opposed to the car.
yeah. Forget where the car is.
Right.
The car's completely irrelevant. It's where the end of the boom is. Because in light air, to have your boom on centre line, the car might have to be up here somewhere. So don't even think about get used to just looking back and seeing where the boom is over the centre line. Yeah, so.
Same boat.
Same boat again, yeah.
On the road.
Still looks all right. So that's a pretty good setup now, and that's good angle of heel, and it's probably too open, too much twist for that amount of breeze. Like the deal is, if you trim, if you've got all your crew sitting on the rail, and the wind strength increases, then you've got to ease the power out of the main. Otherwise, the helmsman has to sail too high on the jib to maintain angle of heel. So, in fact, we've got to maintain angle of heel, and we've got to maintain boat speed. So the guy who's trimming is really steering the boat. If he doesn't ease and allow the helmsman to stay in the right groove in the jib, then you burn the pace off. But if you get too open with the main, then you get a bit cruisy and you just go low. Like keelboats don't want to go faster than that drive thing. Because you twist a bit and the boat goes lower and it doesn't go fast enough to cover the extra distance. VMG has got from pointing high in keelboats. Absolutely no doubt. So, if your boat speed's good, you should be trimming on and burning some pace for height all the time. And make your helmsman work, by trimming it on and making him sail the boat high.
Those three guys look like they're on the bus stop seat. They're not leaning out.
Yeah, well, you
Things too open.
You get that?
True, Mike? Is that fair?
Find 11:25.
Yeah. I should.
Is that fair?
I don't know whether I've got any pictures of you. Hiking. I could have.
When was the last time you hiked?
Are you talking to Mike?
Yeah.
I'm a bit worried if they find photos of us.
So, okay.
We're going to get off the bus stop.
They want any holiday shots.
Got any photos of Judd and Jono?
No. I hardly ever take any pictures or take any video when I'm coaching. Because while you're doing it, while I'm looking through a camera like this, I can't coach anyone because I can't see what's happening. And I drive behind them and talk to them with a loud hailer. And go, try a bit of this, that looks really good. How does that feel? Oh, fantastic. And they're going like a rocket. You've got somebody good under you, like, the Melbourne guys, what's his name? JD, GD?
GT.
GT, yeah. We trained quite a bit with him before the Worlds. And it'd get him underneath you. And if they got trimmed on a bit hard, they'd start to lose and ease up a bit, twist a little bit, bring your depth up. So, and then forward. The speed would come up. So this is something that you hear people say, there's hundreds of ways you can set a boat up to make it go fast. There isn't really. But there are quite a lot of times you can find the right forces to make the boat go. No, you can get this side force by being a little deeper and a little twisted, or a little flatter and sheeted on harder. Right? So you end up with the same force, right angle of heel, everything. But the one that's a little flatter and sheeted on harder is much harder to steer the boat to than when it's deeper and a slightly bit twisted. So the deeper and twisted setup is much better when you're out offshore and when the water's rough, because the boat feels nice all the time. When it hits a wave badly, it accelerates nicely, and it's all to do with leech tension down the back of the mainsail. If you're sheeting harder, the leech is not so tolerant. Like a gust hits it, it doesn't move, it's just like this. And the boat gets what I call tippy. It doesn't matter how hard you try, you can't keep the angle of heel quite right. And that's because it's the mainsail set up in the wrong mode. You're getting your power from too much sheet pressure and a little more depth and a little ease. All of a sudden the thing softens and you can steer the boat. The boat just wants to go. So that setting up, that's the shots of Dougie back there.
The good one.
Yeah, the good Dougie. Did you know there's a good Dougie and a bad Dougie?
You haven't seen a bad day.
Eh? That was my girlfriend, Amanda christened him that. Good Doug. She was the one that started it. Because she saw him being bad Dougie a few times.
That's possible. He's a lovely man. Is it actual stuff?
This one.
That's a great holiday you had, that one. Oh,
See these here?
yeah.
They're not bad. But look at the depth here. Like it's quite flat there. So
They're still going down. You said the other ones were bad.
they're little, yeah, they are. But they're just little over bend creases, but the rest of the sail's fine. Like it's only up to the spreader. And you could get those out by putting a bit more chock in there. But it's not doing any damage because it's keeping this part of the sail flat out the back here and keeping the helm off the boat. As soon as you get more depth here, the angle of exit closes up. Right? So that generates helm. So like having those, and the other thing you've got to watch, see this sail's a bit flat up here. Now if he pulls enough luff tension on here to get these creases out, he'll ruin the top. The top will fall open and he'll lose height. And this is why you see people, he's sailing with creases in and he's going like a rocket, but he knows that if he pulls this on harder, he'll flatten the top and the top will fall open. Because, the characteristic sail shapes, flat sails want to hang open. And when you sheet the sail on, if it's flat in the head because you've got too much backstay on, it won't close. It won't stand up. You just keep pulling it and the mast bends more and it will not stand up. You let the backstay go, the same amount of sheet pressure, it'll go up like this. So if you think about flat sails want to open, deep sails or drive aft sails want to close. So if your sail's deep and you sheet it on, the leech comes up bang like that really quickly. So you don't want to get this top leech falling open too much because it pulls the mid leech open. And the shots of Dougie from behind, if we had any, you notice too, no jib luff wrinkles. Smooth. Where the hell am I? It's the same one. But see how there's hardly any depth here through this top batten? If he put any luff tension on that, it'd just fall open.
What about if he had a softer batten in the top?
Yeah, we've been through that. Lots of times. It does make a difference. But, the sail of Michael Morris's, we got it recut, which fixed it. So that is something you can do. You can see the difference in the depth down here from some of those other boats we looked at, like they were bloody heaps deep. And this is a sail that's starting to get blown out. That is not quick. When the sails have had enough use that they start to go at inside ends of the battens and stretch there, that's what you get. You get this hooked up leech down low down, which is also not good for strong winds or letting the boat accelerate. Okay, we got any questions?
You mentioned you're going to coach during the goblets.
Yeah.
You happy to do that?
Yeah, well, they're going to pay me to do it, I think.
Well, that's
So I guess I have to do it.
How are you going to do it? Are you going to talk to us over the two ways, or are you going to talk to us on loud hailer, or just yell?
Just loud hailer. If you don't mind me, like the goblets is one of your big deals, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't want...
Silver.
Like, you better sort of sort that out with the fleet as to whether
Yeah.
you can come in and actually coach.
You certainly do it, helping getting the boat set up before it starts. And it pays you to get out there early enough to have a look at things and stuff like that. So,
How much extra do you want to focus on one boat?
oh. I've got to look after my mate Michael. He's been through thick and thin with him. He's showing great improvement. So, if you pick...
We did some coaching during a normal punch score race.
Yeah.
To clear a coaching race.
Yeah, I think you can do that, and I've done that.
There'd be a problem with that. I think the goblets might be a bit of an issue because we'll
Yeah.
probably have some boats from other fleets.
Yeah. So what we need to do is we need to work out like 4 boats a race, so I can actually watch those 4 boats and look after them before the start, have a look at their setup and everything. But you'll have to give me the numbers of 4 boats per race so I can write them down and go and focus on them and try and get them set up better.
No, I think the issue isn't the issue are we endorsing being coached during the race, or are we not endorsing it?
No, not for the goblets, I think not.
No, any race.
My suggestion is that in club races, it's only the Sydney fleet, the intention is that, and we've talked to Mike quite a bit about this, is to lift the level of the whole fleet. And I think that means that we should allow Mike to get in amongst the boats and coach as we race them. And if there's strong objections, we won't do it, but I think that would be a good thing for the whole fleet. I think the goblets is probably a little bit different. It's a more prestigious event, and as I said, we're going to have boats from other fleets, and that's probably, would be inappropriate. But before the start, I think that's fine.
And I'll just come in and say, give you a Jibonese, it's on too hard. And you should all have this telltale on the jib that I pointed out, this top one. Make sure you put it on, because that's the sort of thing, I just look at it and I know exactly whether it's over trimmed or not. You don't listen, you guys. I said 50% of the way from between the luff and the leach. You'll have to get the tape. That's what it was.
At the same point as the current.
Yeah, that seems to be a good height, because I actually had a look at Michael's sail in the weekend and the other telltale was still there.
Yeah.
And that was at about the right height.
Using wool or tape?
Wool. Never use tape. Tape is hopeless. No, because it twirls. It gets and it flaps around all the time anyway. Like it needs to be fine wool. Like I've got some 4-ply wool, and just pull the strands out so that they're quite thin, and then and they need to be like 9 centimetres long. Like is a perfect length. If you make them too long, they sort of get lazy and just waft around. If they're too short, they don't indicate properly. So about 9 centimetres is good, and they indicate quite sharply. So you guys make up your mind what you want to, and I mean during the goblets, I can just make notes on the races and talk to you at the end of the day, something like that, because there's a lot of stuff going on, like sailing Sydney Harbour is, a lot of people don't know how to do it very well. Like going into Rose Bay, coming off Steel Point, not coming into the bay near the island, not getting stuck on the, because the wind comes in over the golf course like that from the south, bends around the shore like this, and there's a big left-hander when you come in. And when you get up to the top end of Shark Island, there's the right hand, because it's in the south there.
Depends on the tide a bit too, doesn't it?
Eh?
Depending on the
It's mostly wind. The tide's not much in there. Like everybody overreads the tide in Sydney Harbour. If you put a tide stick in, you're lucky if you can find half a boat length a minute.
With a 1.3
Whereas-
metre rise and fall.
Whereas the shifts make 6 boat lengths a minute. I was talking to Dougie at one stage on Saturday. They got stuck over on the left-hand shore up near the monastery on the hill there, Jack Rookland's old house there, and they had a hell of a job getting off there, because I was watching them, and the opposition came across the harbour and was up on the island shore.
Yeah.
You were looking a bit nervous over there, weren't you? He's shaking his head in the affirmative. And they had a couple of goes to come off and went back again because it looked that ugly. So they actually made a bit of a loss over there, but they got out of it. But that's pretty typical of, racing up into that course there. And when you're racing in Sudley, where you're starting over near the zoo there, the breeze comes out of Rustcutters Bay and comes out of Double Bay, and they're slightly different directions. And then there's a bit of a cone in the middle, and there's generally pressure out in the middle, but not the lifts. So, you've got to juggle the whole thing. And, in the last, we've had a few races where that breeze has been building and the pressure's been in the left. And it was obvious. One of the starts there, the boats at the pin end were like all hiking and the boats up the other end were just flopping around. And it sort of happened. It happens just, while you're in the start. And it sort of makes and breaks the whole thing. All right, guys. So,
Mike's coming back after the goblets, which I think is the 24th of November. No, the goblets run from the 12th to the 16th. That really ought to be a great event. We've got, it'll be a wet regatta. It'll make it easier for people to come down later and still get a race in.
Shit.
We've invited people from other fleets. I'm hoping it will be 25 to 30 boats, and we're going to have some reasonable prizes. There'll be a prize giving on the Friday night. We're actually going to give away silver goblets, and we might have a little bit of sponsorship from Nordica and perhaps even Maribor. So we'll try and make it a worthwhile regatta. But the main thing is that it should be a very good competition from a lot of sailors.
I'll try and get more pictures.
Mike's going to come and talk to us after. Then we've got a mini regatta on the Saturday offshore, weather permitting, and we've encouraged Mike to come back straight after that. We're also planning that we'll have one of these sessions once a month. I think the next session after that would be in December, and perhaps we're looking at getting Tom King or Dave Edwards along to tell us how do we do a championship. Must be easy. And then of course we've got another offshore regatta in February, and then the States will be this year. It's really interesting. So Mike, thanks very much for giving your time, and we'll see you on the water in the next few weeks and after the goblets. So thanks, guys.
Okay.